So episode 16, we talked about, we started talking about the 6 things that any human does: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. So those are the things that anyone would do. So this is when the raga, dvesha, moha comes in. So this is what you need to be watching, be mindful about, right? So this is day-to-day life. When you're doing things, these are the things that you would be doing from morning till night, right? So then we try to understand whether these 6 senses, right, the eye, we call it the eye or chakku, sota, gahana, jivha, kaya. So those things, whether they are sanidassana or anidassana, because normal people would take it as sanidassana. When we say the chakku, they think about the eye, the physical eye. So we wanted to understand whether they are talking about this physical eye or something else. So we looked into that and tried to understand whether it's sanidassana or anidassana. So sanidassana is visible and anidassana is invisible. In the eye, there is a sanidassana part, which is the flesh or the part which is which you can see physically, and there is also anidassana part. We are not talking about the sanidassana part because that comes under rupa. So that is not the chakku, that comes under rupa, right? So the process of seeing is what chakku is in terms of Buddhism. When we talk about the chakku, you have to get the feel of the process of seeing, right? Then we looked at an example, taking a flower, a glass and a person into the example. So we looked at a flower, leaving a flower in front of the glass, and a man standing behind the glass looking at the flower. You can see the glass through, you can see the flower through the glass, right? And then we talked about bringing the flower behind. Now you can't see the flower because it's a glass, right? But then we took mercury and then we put the mercury onto the glass and we made it a mirror. Now we can see the flower behind the person through the mirror. So that's what the eye does, the mirroring process, or the process of seeing, right? That is what we call as chakku. So what we learned from there is the physical eye is the rupa, and the process of seeing is chakku or chakku vijnana. And then the next thing we looked at was salayatana and panchaskandhya. Many people, they take them as 2 different things, but panchaskandhya and salayatana are the same. So that's what we understood, we looked at, right? Then we looked at the bahidakaya and the ajjatakaya. Ajjatakaya is the inner world, and bahidakaya is the outer world, right? So in there we looked at chakku, and then bahidakaya we looked at the rupa. So the rupa is the rupa, vedana and sanya, and then the chakku is the sankhara and vijnana. So that brings up the rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, vijnana. It's the same way with chakku, sota, ghana, jivha, kaya. So that's what we looked at. And even that, if you look at the loka or the world has been described in various ways. This skandha is one way, which is rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, vijnana, panchaskandha, or the 5 aggregates. And then ayatana is another way they have looked at the world, which is chakkayatana, rupayatana, then sotayatana, saddayatana, gandhayatana, ghanayatana, jivayatana, rasayatana, kayatana, pottabbayatana, manayatana, dhammayatana, that way. So that's the ayatana, how they have looked at the world in ayatana point of view, perspective. And another way is through bhuta, satarama bhuta or bhuta, patavi, apo, tejo, vayo, akasa, vijnana. Right? So that's another way. Then we also understood there is a vipaka world and an abhisankara world. The abhisankara world is created by attaching with raga, dvesha, moha, or the hetu. Lobha, dvesha, moha, alobha, adesha, amoha. Right? Then we looked at transferring merits, how it works with regards to transferring merits, and anantara samanantara pratyaya. So how you create the atmosphere where you can, get to the same level. It's called the resonance principle, as well as it's the same as Bluetooth technology kind of thing. So in order for you to transfer, you have to pair it. So that's the idea behind it. So we looked at that. It's the same thing what we do when we spread loving and kindness meditation. What we do is we distribute the positive energy, right, and create a positive energy surrounding. Then we looked at udaya vijnana, udaya. We looked at samudaya and nirodha. So how its samudaya happens, sanguda, how the sanguda happens. So we looked at rupa, vedana, sanya, sankara, vijnana, how the rupa is the 5 ways the rupa is being created. Or when I say create, it's not the correct word. Please add a suitable word, Janit, if you can. Is what you do is, this is to do with avidya, trishna, karma, ahara and nibbati. So this is to do with, it's not how a Rahatan Vahanse would see a rupa, how we get a rupa. When I say rupa, it can be chakku rupa, sota rupa, ghana rupa, jivha rupa, kaya rupa, mano rupa, anything, right? But this rupa, what we do is we create through avidya, or we create through tanha, or we create through karma, or ahara, or nibbati. So all these end up in not creating the actual rupa. What you are doing is, it's a defiled rupa that you are creating because of these 5 reasons. Because of these 5, avidya, trishna, karma, ahara, nibbati. The same way, when the Vedana happens, for Arihatun Vahanse, the Vedana happens in and then Arihatun Vahanse realizes the Vedana. But how a normal person would realize the Vedana is through avidya, trishna, karma, ahara, nibbati. So it's defiled, it's not in the pure manner. You don't see the actual picture, basically. You don't get the actual feeling. So that is why you attach, it's fabricated. Yeah, exactly. So it's not the reality. You don't see the reality. So it's all defiled. So that is what a normal person would do. And even that, from a noble person to a normal person, there is a huge difference. So the normal person would see it defiled or fabricated so much, or defiled so much, but the person who has achieved or understood, comprehended Dhamma, wouldn't see it as defiled or fabricated as such, because he understands that this is being fabricated. To a certain extent, that person might understand or see the reality. So that is what we looked at. And we looked at the samudaya and nirodha the other way. It's so avidya nirodha, rupa nirodho, tanha nirodha, rupa nirodho. So how niruddha, we created through the defilements, or you mentally. And also something that you need to understand is, what we are creating or what we are generating is the asadaya, and it's being created in the mind. So that is the other most important thing. what we don't understand. We create an asade and we think, oh, it's asade is outside, but it's created in the mind and is mentally fabricated. So that is the next important thing. So those are the things that we looked at the other day. So we'll move on to today's discussion. It's episode 17. So here, what needs to be contemplated? So that is the first thing they're asking. What do you have to contemplate? This is a very, very important thing, and please listen to it carefully and try to do this. This is what you need to know, and this is what you should be doing. If you get this right, you got everything right. And the name of the sutra is Nibbhana Sutra. Nibbhana is a treasure. So it is called treasure for a reason. If you get this treasure, you don't need any other treasure. This is the most important, the most valuable treasure you can ever get. So listen to it carefully, try to understand it, and do this, and then you will succeed. You will walk the path and you will attain enlightenment. Right? So in this Samyutta Nikaya 2 Nibbhana Sutra, it says, Ananda, when one spends time enjoying asada and seeing the pleasure, it will increase Trishna. I will say it again. Ananda, when one spends time enjoying asada and seeing the pleasure, it will increase Trishna. How it says in Pali is, Evameva ko ananda upadaniyesu dhammesu asadano passino viharato tanha pavaddati. Tanha pacchya upadanam upadana pacchya bhava bhava pacchya jati jati pacchya jara marana soka parideva dukkha domanassa eva me tassa kevalassa dukkha skandhassa samudayo hoti. So the dukkha skandha has been sanguda through this process. How? When someone is spending time enjoying the asada, what that person does is, so this asada or asada is sampassaja vedana. Raga sampassaja vedana is the asada, right? In the paticca sampade, you have avidya, sankara, viññāna, nama rupa, salayatana, passa, vedana. Right? Salayatana, passa, vedana. This vedana is the sampassaja vedana. Raga sampassaja vedana is what we call is as asada. So this is where we get attached to. Vedana pacchya tanha. So that is what they say. Tanha pacchya upadana. Upadana pacchya bhava. Bhava pacchya jati jara marana soka parideva dukkha domanassa. And that creates the dukkha skandhassa samudayo hoti. On the other hand, they are talking about the same thing, the opposite. Ananda, when one spends time seeing adinava. So that is in other words, anicca dukkha anatta is adinava, right? It will reduce and eliminate Trishna. So the hetuva in the Chaturarya Satya, dukkha, samudaya. Samudaya is the Trishna, right? It's the same thing. The reason is the Trishna. So that is what we are trying to eliminate. So how you eliminate the Trishna or the samudaya is by looking at the adinava, by concentrating, by contemplating on the adinava, which is anicca dukkha anatta. The more you focus on anicca dukkha anatta, the more you get rid of the Trishna. So that's what it says. In Pali, it says, Upadaniyesu ananda dhammesu adinavanupassano viharato tanha nirujjanti. Tanha nirodha upadana nirodho. Upadana nirodha bhava nirodho. Bhava nirodha jati nirodho. Jati nirodha Jara marana soka parideva dukkha domanassa eva me tassa kevalassa dukkhaskandassa nirodho hoti. So this is how you get rid of the dukkhaskandha or the suffering. So this is how to get rid of the suffering or the dukkhaskandha. So this is the actual treasure. This is the actual Nibbhana if one wants to look for a treasure, right? This is very important. I was so happy to see this. I hope you guys will also try to look at the Adinava as much as possible. Don't, because the more you look at the asvada, what you're doing is you're providing food. Viññāneta āhāra denawa. It's the same thing. You're providing food for the viññāne and you're making it stronger and stronger. So then you attach more and more. You attaching more and more is increasing the trishna. Then you feel more asvada. Then it's very hard to get out of that. It's like getting addicted to a drug or something. It's really hard. You get attached to it, you keep enjoying it, you think this is giving me an enjoyment, right? The more you think about it, the stronger it gets, and then you get like addicted, right? Moving on to the next one, which is Baddhekaratta Sutra in Majjhima Nikaya 3. It's explaining there is nothing to be done for the historical 5 aggregates. So that is the Panchaskandha. There is nothing to be done for the Panchaskandha because it's vipaka. There is nothing you can do about it because it's happened already, right? The future 5 aggregates will also be not something you wish for, right? You're not going to wish for any future thing. So it's no point worrying about future either. Therefore, it's about the pratyuppanna moment. So this is a very important thing. It says pratyuppanna mohata or pachuppanna moment, right? This pachuppanna moment, one might think that this is the present moment. It is not the present moment exactly, but it's to do with the present moment. Let's understand what this pachuppanna mohata is. Pratya upanna. If you break it down, pratya, right? This is not necessarily the present moment, but it is when the raga, dvesha and moha arise. Because Nibbhana or Nirvana is raga kayo Nibbhana, dvesha kayo Nibbhana, moha kayo Nibbhana. So in order for anyone to get to Nirvana, so that is what we need to worry about. Raga, dvesha, moha, not everything else. So as long as you see when the raga, dvesha and moha arise and get rid of them, then you're good. So this is what need to be contemplated. So you need to be mindful about raga, dvesha, moha. Nothing else. It's not about I am lifting, I am keeping. Some people do that. I am lifting my leg, I am moving it front, I am keeping my leg down. Or they concentrate on things like that. It's not about that. It's about raga, dvesha, moha. Why am I lifting my leg? Why am I lifting my hand or arm? Why am I turning around? Is what you need to concentrate on and contemplate on, right? Sometimes you might be turning around to see something, right? If it's to do with, to identify something, it's not a problem. It's nothing to do with raga, dvesha, moha. But if you're looking to see something, to get some enjoyment, if you think, oh, I saw something nice, beautiful, I am turning around to see it again, to get more asada, then there's a problem. So that is what you need to concentrate on, and that is what you need to understand, right? Baddhekaratta. If you break it down, baddha is to bond. Kara is doing. Atta is what is valuable, right? So it's bonded with what needs to be done or what is valuable. So you understand what needs to be done, and that's what you should be doing. It's the same thing, and you have to, like we talked before, or the Pachuppanna Mohata, you have to do it at the time. At the time it happens, like it's Bhadra Eka Ratna. Bhadra Eka Ratna. If you can break it down, it'll be good. Unified path. Eka Ratna. Ratna is like a gem. Eka means one. One thing we have to do. Yeah. One thing we have to do. Yeah. It goes with kind of the same meaning, bonded with what needs to be done, basically. Ekayana marge, ekayana vayam maggo. Yeah, it's the same thing. So this is what needs to be done, basically. Yeah, that goes with the meaning as well. And when we looked at the 24 qualities, we looked at ehi passiko, ehi passika, ehi pahakaranna one. Or as in, you need to eliminate at the time it arises. So that is also in line with this. So ehi passika quality is you need to get rid of the raga, dvesha, moha when they arise. Not in future, I'm going to get rid of the raga tomorrow. Not like that. Or yesterday's raga. You can't do anything about yesterday's raga, dvesha, moha. You can only do what arises now, right? So that's what you need to see. Watch out, not every moment, but the Pachuppanna moment when you deal with defilements. So that's, you need to be watching more carefully about the raga, dvesha and moha. So that is what that means. Then moving on to the next one, which is Pabhassara Chitta, and how Vijnana Kanda is created. So this has been a topic that people have argued in the past. Well, not argued, but questioned a lot, right? So we say chitta mana manasang hadayam pandana mano manayatanang vijnana kando. So that gets defiled little by little. The chitta is pabhassara bindang bhikkave chittang. So the chitta itself is pure. So that is like clean water, but it gets slowly defiled by other things. Like if you make tea, you put some tea bag, you put some sugar, you put milk, blah blah blah. So it gets added on, and then it gets defiled. And then when it comes to vijnana, right, it's defiled to a certain extent. But here what we are trying to, this is how it was explained before, right? But when we talk about the defiling of the chitta up to vijnana, the first rounds, it's not defiled with raga, dvesha, moha. It's come to it's become defiled, but it's become defiled by without raga, dvesha, moha, shall I say, right? So what's happened is, say for example, let's try to understand this with an example. You look at something, say you see a person. First you look at that person, you probably sometimes you can't even identify whether it's a man or a woman, and then you look at carefully. After some time you identify that it's a man. Then a little bit later, it takes a few seconds, right? I'm not talking like minutes or hours. It just takes a few seconds, maybe split seconds, and then you understand, oh, that's this man. And you are only identifying that person. Once you understood, or once you identified that person, then comes the raga, dvesha, moha, right? Say for example, you see someone, but that's a very say that's an enemy, a person that you don't like at all. You just imagine you hate that person, for argument's sake, right? But you didn't identify that person. nothing's going to happen to your mind. You're not going to have any hatred. But you look at that person, oh, who is that? And then you identified. And as soon as you identified, after you identified is when the dvesha comes into play. Now you're angry. Now you're burning. Now you're sweating. Now you're red. All of a sudden, certain things have changed in a split second. But only after you identified. So now this is what we are trying to look at and understand whether how to break it down and where it gets defiled, and whether we can prevent the raga, dvesha, moha coming into play. Right? So Anguttara Nikaya 1 in the Pabhasara Vagga. Prabhaswara is the pure. That's what Pabhaswara means. Pabhasara idam bhikkave chittang agantukehi upakilittehi upakilitta. That means it gets defiled by agantuka upaklesha. In here it says, you have to listen to this very carefully and try to understand what it says in the sutra. It says, Tam asutava putajjano yatabhuta napajñāti. Tasma asutavanto putajjanassa chitta bhavana natti vadamiti. This is the Anguttara Nikaya 1 Pabhasara Vagga. It says, again, on the other hand, they are saying, Pabhasara bidam bhikkave chittang agantukehi upakilitte upakilittang tam sutava ariyasavako yatabhutang pajanati tasma sutavatu ariyasavakassa chitta bhavana atti vadamiti. So what they are saying is, this first they are talking about asutavan putajjana. So putajjana is a person who has not comprehended Dhamma. That person is yata bhutan na pajanati. So that person has not understood, not comprehended Dhamma. And therefore, chitta bhavana natti vadamiti. I am not introducing chitta bhavana to the asutavanta putajjana. The chitta bhavana, I am not telling chitta bhavana. I am not introducing chitta bhavana to, or chitta meditation to the putajjana. On the other hand, they start with saying Pabhasara bidang bhikkave chittam. Pabhasvara bidang bhikkave chittam means when the first thought comes, it's clean. Pabhasvara bidang bhikkave chittang agantukehi upakilitte upakilitta. Agantukehi upakilitte upakilitta means it gets defiled by raga, dvesha, moha. I'll come to that. When I explained the water getting defiled, I might have confused you, but I will come back to that, right? So here, what they are saying is, to the Arya Savaka, a person who understood Dhamma, or a noble person, I will introduce Chitta Bhavana. Chitta Bhavana is, you're keeping the mind clean. So you're not letting it get defiled. So how you do that is, because this person understands that the chitta, the initial thought is clean. When I say initial thought is clean, how we demarcate between the clean and the dirt is by raga, dvesha, moha. It doesn't have to do anything to do with understanding. So when we say mana manasang hadayam pandarang mano manayatana viññānang, all these steps happen to even Arihatun Wahanse, because Arihatun Wahanse has viññāna too. Right? I will come to that, because this is where I know initially even Vaharaka Thero explained that in that way, saying when it comes to Manasang, it stops for Arihatun Wahanse, but this has been changed. In the Thripitaka, I think Abhay Thero has found out that this is the right way, and the Abhay Thero has approached Vaharaka Thero and explained that, and even Vaharaka Thero has accepted that. So I have to let you guys know what I believe, and this is what I believe, right? Initially, even Vaharaka Thero said, when it comes to Manasang, it stops for Arihatun Wahanse. Hadayang happens to people after that. But it's the Hadayang was explained. So these are steps, right? Mano, Manasang, Hadayam, Pandaram, Mano, Manayatanang, Vijnana, Kando. But this Hadayang, being Hardayangama, is not attaching with Raga, Dvesha, Moha, is to do with identification, to understand who that is. So that kind of Hadayang is what they are referring to, is what they say. So anyway, what we need to understand is, what I am clear about is, right, the initial thought is clean, right? It gets defiled later. That is for sure. If you have done meditation, if you have gone to at least first jhana, I'm sure you might have understood that when a thought comes into your mind, you can see it clearly. That's just a thought. Even you hear a sound, you identify the sound, there is no raga, dvesha, moha in there. But then comes the raga, dvesha, moha sometimes. And if you get into that and try to go on about it, and that's when you get down the dhyana as well, you just come to the normal world, and then you think about that, because now you're concentrating with raga, dvesha, moha, right? So if you understood, oh, that's a sound, I heard a sound, and you understood, I identified the sound, there is no problem, you can still stay in the dhyana. I'm sure you realized when you're doing the meditation, sometimes you might have continued in the breaks. If you did continue in a break, you hear people talking, you hear people making noises, but it doesn't affect you. But if it does affect you at one point, and if you get angry, then what happens is, then you come down from maybe even third jhana to second jhana, and then the first jhana, and then down, you can even come down straight away, and then you are in the normal world. So what we have to understand here is, understand that we can understand where the raga, dvesha and moha comes into play. If you can understand, then you can do chitta bhavana. So that is why chitta bhavana or the chitta meditation is introduced only for people who have comprehended Dhamma. Otherwise they wouldn't understand. They wouldn't understand the difference. They would think that, oh, the raga was there already, or the raga, it came with raga, or it came with dvesha. As soon as I saw that person, the dvesha was there, kind of thing. So that is wrong. That's not how it happens. The first thing is you identify what it is, and then with the avidya comes the other defilements. So this is what you need to understand. In the Anguttara Nikaya Pabhassara Vagga itself, it says the first thought is pure. The first thought, so that is the vijnana. It's not talking about the chitta, it's the vijnana. And then comes the immoral thoughts, and then comes the moral thoughts, right? It can be immoral or moral, right? Then the construction or the creation of the Pabhassara Chitta. We move on, then you will understand more about this, then you might clear the doubts you may have. In Abhidharma Pitake 1, Paticca Sampada Vibhanga, Katame Dhamma Avyakruta. So now they come to Avyakruta Paticca Sampada. What is Avyakruta? In the English Thripitaka it says Abhyakruta or something, but it's the same thing they're referring to, right? Yasmin same kamavachara kusalassa kammassa katatta uppachitta vipakang uppannang hoti upekka sahagata ruparammanan tasmin same sankara pacca viññānam viññāna pacca namang nama pacca chattayatanam chattayatana pacca passo passa pacca vedana vedana pacca bhavo. Excuse me. So they are explaining about the avyakruta paticca sampada. We have looked at the paticca sampada cycles before, and I'm sure you have come across the avyakruta paticca sampada before, but here in the paticca sampada vibhange it explains how the cycle works. Now you have to understand, it starts where it starts, right? I will read this again. Katame dhamma avyakruta yasmin same kamavachara kusalassa kammassa katatta uppachitta vipakang uppannang hoti. This is to do with vipaka. Upekka sahagata. So this is upekka sahagata. Kamichakali neutral. Yeah, this upeksha sahagata is neutral. Ruparammanang tasmin same, then it starts with sankara pacca viññāna. Normally what we do is avidya pacca sankara. That is what that is how the cycle starts for the normal paticca sampada. But this one starts with sankara pacca viññānam viññāna pacca namang nama pacca chattayatanam chattayatana pacca passu passa pacca vedana vedana pacca bhavo. So this is how it happens. This is the avyakruta paticca sampada. It explains in the Abhidharma Pitake paticca sampada vibhange. In here there is no avidya, there is no salayatana, there is no tanha, there is no upadana. So this is the avyakruta paticca sampada cycle. This is the pure cycle where even the Arihatun Vahanse has this cycle. So this is for the understanding, right? There is a bhava with that. Penena bhava, or the seeing. This is just to identify, right? Tatta katamang sankara pacca viññānam. Yan chittam mano manasang chakku viññāna dhātu. So they are asking about sankara pacca viññāna. What does sankara pacca viññāna mean? Yan chittam mano manasang hadayam pandarang. He keeps going on, and then it ends up in chakku viññāna dhātu. So that is what the sankara pacca viññāna means. So this is also broken into and explained in the same sutra in Panchas Paticca Sampada Vibhange. That means even for Arihatun Vahanse this happens, and it is avyakruta, right? So here what you need to understand is, as long as you keep it in the avyakruta level, there is no problem. What happens is, as soon as you defile it with raga, dvesha, moha, then it goes through the raga cycle, raga paticca sampada, right? And when we did the meditation, what we said was tanha khayo. So with this tanha kayo is what we say here is tanha akka. The meaning of is we don't let it get defiled by tanha akkaya means stopping the kaya. Ka is the bad side. Ka aya is getting into the bad side. What we do is stopping getting into the bad side. So we keep it in the the pure state. So that is what it means, right? That's the same thing they are talking about. And Rodha, we say Nirodha. So normally it's Rodha. What we do is Nirodha. You don't let it get to that state where it gets defiled, right? Then moving on to Anguttara Nikaya, Na Chetana Karaniya Sutra. These are all linked because it explains the same thing in different ways. Na Chetana Karaniya Sutra. Na Chetana. So Chetana is creating the mind, right? Na Chetana is not creating the mind. So what you need to be doing is not creating the mind. So what we create the mind for is for Raga, Dvesha and Moha. So we do it for those reasons. So if we don't create the mind, it will be pure. There is nothing to do with Chetana. It happens automatically. It's another thing when it comes to the results. So if you plant something, after planting you just look after it. You don't do anything for it to get the fruits, right? You just plant it and you look after it, and then automatically you get the fruits at the right time. It's like that. So in when you do meditation, also they talk about priti manassa kayo passaddati passadda kayo sukandeti sukino samadhiti. So how you get to samadhi is, you don't focus on samadhi and concentrate on samadhi and wait for samadhi to happen. So what you need to do is priti manasa kayo passaddati. So it starts with priti manasa, the happy mind, priti manasa. So in order to get to the happy mind, you need to get to the real happiness. What we were doing was going behind the outside world, running around looking for asada to become happy, and that was never fulfilling, so you were never happy. So now here what you're doing is stopping that and getting the inner happiness. So that way, priti manasa kayo passaddati, kaya, then that makes you feel, and the kaya is the body gets the you get the comfort through that. You first become happy, and then through the happiness you get the comfort to the kaya passadya. Passadya is you feel light and happy, and then sukandeti, it makes you feel comfortable, and then that results in the samadhi, samayata adi, samadhi. Okay, so that's that. And there is nothing to do with Chetana. So that's actually that is the end of episode 17.